Hey, this is Brass Check, and we're recording this on Friday, September 19th, 2025, and we are a week and 2 days away from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I had hoped to stay out of it. I had hoped that a whole bunch of people would pour in with obvious common sense observations and maybe a little technical knowledge too. And it didn't happen. However, it's finally happening. So maybe I can go back to my book. But I want to tell you how this evolved, and luckily we timestamp everything. And I happened to be on also the Sabby Sab show on Sunday, which what was that date? Um, the 15th. Okay, which is getting to be 7 days. Oh, excuse me, five. No, the 14th. The 14th. All right, so it's coming up on a week. So luckily, I was able to establish that the first week's worth of insights were garbage. And maybe it doesn't matter because now we got some good people coming out of the woodwork. But let me say what I said. As soon as I saw that the rifle they found wrapped in a towel, I knew there were big problems, huge problems, because a 38, and I have said it incorrectly occasionally, a 30-08, there would be nothing left of his neck. And I don't want to be gruesome, but and what's interesting. First, they had some joker come out and talk about the fact that you can disassemble a rifle in 1 second. And that's just such poppycock. But I apparently was the first guy to come out and say it that you can't do it, that it takes tools and that it takes minutes. And the other thing nobody's mentioned yet, and again, I wish other people would do this so I could just chill and not chill, but work on my work. You kind of need a desk. You kind of need a flat surface. You can't really be hanging on your elbows and doing this. You could maybe be sitting up, and you don't want that. You want it laying on a flat surface, right? Like a gunsmith would have, or like someone would have on their kitchen table. So nobody's mentioned that yet, but it doesn't really matter because I think the world finally, a week and a day, understands that you can't disassemble the rifle, you can't assemble the rifle, you can't disassemble the rifle, and you will lose screws. Okay, you'll lose springs and screws, and even if you've got it set up perfectly in your garage, you're going to misplace stuff. Um, Nobody's talked about those engraved bullets yet. I seem to be the only guy that's asking about especially some of those phrases are long, right? So he carved those with his hands. Think about it. I mean, what is he like an engraver, right? So, and I this seems to be a scoop, waiting for somebody else to say it. Um, that you can engrave, and I said this on the Sabby Sab show nearly a week ago. Um, you can engrave shell casings, but you need a laser setup, and you need like a I don't know of any cheap way to do it, but you can buy like a unit that's like $15,000 for doing laser engraving, and there are companies that will laser engrave your shell casings, but typically they don't really want to do that on live rounds. So we've got a huge problem. Think about this, guys, and nobody's brought this up. Why haven't they shown us these fabulous engraved shells, right? They've shown us the rifle. Why wouldn't they show us the shells? Why wouldn't they show us the towel? I mean, I haven't heard anybody ask those questions. I asked them nearly a week ago. All right, what else is crazy? But you have to understand, like, and here's the thing. Who did they bring out of the woodwork initially? They brought out hunters. Well, I'm a hunter. I could have made that shot all day. A 12-year-old can make that shot. Thank God they've got some professional snipers that finally come out and said, bullshit on that. Okay? There's a big difference between gopher hunting and shooting deer and being at the range and taking a shot like that. Okay? And if that thing actually hit, it looks like it was intended to hit where it actually hit, which means you had a really good shooter. Um, and I don't want to be gross, but look up gopher hunting with 30-08, and a gopher is roughly the size of a human neck. Any hunter that got on TV and said that this is totally normal, knowing that it was supposedly a 30-08 round, um, maybe has early dementia, or is a liar, or is just not very bright, or just wanted to be on TV. I don't know. But if a 38 round hit his neck, there would be no neck left. Okay, so that's a big problem. The second problem, and I brought this up again almost a week ago. Now my subscribers have heard about this almost since like the day that Rifle came out. But on Sunday, luckily, I got some airtime from somewhere, and I pointed out the round could not have come from his where you see the wound is not where the shot was. That's an exit wound. Okay, it had to come from the other side. Now everything's reversed here, so forget where I'm pointing, but the bottom line is wherever that thing was, that's an exit wound. All right. Anybody who's ever been hunting could have told you that. Any coroner, now obviously coroners are not going to get on a podcast and start talking about reality. Trauma surgeons, they're also not going to provide you with that service. But luckily, there's a whole bunch of snipers around that know all this stuff. Um, what else? Oh, the other big thing I said, which is fine. I mean, people are hinting at it. Some of the snipers are hinting at it, but apparently, when you're trained by the U.S. military to be a sniper, um, they tell you not to talk about this particular technique that I'm about to bring up. Now, I'm under no obligation to not talk about it, and it's not a secret. But I think when they train the guys, they don't want them telling people about this, and it's called keyholing. And keyholing, one guy who's really good, I'm sorry, I don't know his name. He's from South Carolina, I can tell you that. And he was sort of the first guy to come out of the woods and say, "Hey, I'm a sniper, and none of this makes any sense on a sniping level, right?" He didn't really want to get into keyholing, probably because he was told in his training, "Don't talk about this." But another fellow came out who, believe it or not, worked for John McAfee. I don't know his name either. You're going to have to do your own research on that, but it's somewhere out there on the interweb. And he came out 2 days ago and talked about keyholing. And keyholing is very simple. And I talked about it without mentioning its name on the show a week ago, and nobody else has talked about it except these two professional snipers. Snipers, contrary to popular belief, do not hang outside of a window. And they also don't hang on a roof where they can be seen. Okay. It's not just getting off the shot, it's concealing yourself while you're getting off the shot. It is also creating a distraction, ideally, and it's getting away, right? Otherwise, what's the point, right? So I said, because and I said it was provisional. I didn't say I was betting the ranch on. I am betting the ranch on where the shot generally came from. I'll bet every dime I have times 10. Okay. I'll take that bet all day long against anybody. Um, and I said that on the Sabby show. I was pretty clear. Uh, now, I suggested some possible other shot locations. They were just suggestions, and I called them that. But the thing that I said, so important, is if keyholing is you go way back, all right? That's why they call it keyholing. So the further back you get from the window, the smaller, the window looks to you, right? And so you're shooting through the room, right? And through what is a progressively smaller um, aperture, thus keyholing, right? Makes sense. But you could shoot like I don't want. I am not going to do this, but I see a house, and from here, yeah, I mean, I'm I happen to know I'm 22 feet from that window. I'd have no problem getting through that window and hitting the target that I'd want to hit, right? And I could be back even further, right? So what does that mean? Number one, complete concealment. Even if you have 10,000 guys, which they didn't have, looking up at the windows, you'd never see the guy. You just see an open window, which is why the Secret Service, when it cares, makes sure that all windows are nailed down um, when the dignitaries are going by. Um, but the point I want to make is you can't be seen. That's the concealment part. The other part, and this explains something, and people are starting to finally talk about it, is the sound. That certainly was not a 30-08 rifle sound. That thing is like not only does it explode the things it hit, it makes an explosive sound. Okay. And that was not an explosive sound. Okay. Would a sniper use a silencer? The silencers aren't I mean, they're suppressors, but probably not. But if you're 20, and I could probably add another 30 feet. If you're 30 feet back, you'd probably have to be on something high. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The key holding principle absolutely works. It's not James Bond. It's not esoteric. It's plain vanilla. Um, but I could probably be 30 feet back and still make this easy shot that I would want to make through this window here. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not shooting anybody. Um, so those were the things that I talked about almost a week ago, and they're finally dripping out piece by piece. Finally, somebody, and this was the sniper who, this is a guy, both of these guys are Marine trained, and one of them was also a SEAL, and of course the SEALs are under the Navy, and the Navy and Marines are kind of, sort of connected. So this guy got SEAL training. He was also a Marine trained sniper, and he has sniped. I'm not sure if the other guy has. He hasn't mentioned. But this other guy, and see, this other guy was much clearer about something. It was not an easy shot. Okay, if you're at a range or you're hunting gophers, a pretty easy shot. You're shooting live human beings, and there's all these thousands of people around, and if they catch you, you're going to get hung, et cetera, et cetera. He also pointed out this guy was really detailed, and some things I hadn't thought of. It was a hot day. And when you have heat, right, what happens? There's sort of distortion in the air visually. Um, there's a lot of things. There's wind to consider. There's the drop to consider. There's all kinds of things that professionals have to know. Um, somebody also made the point, and I could have made it but didn't because I thought it was too esoteric for people, is a cold barrel. You kind of have to warm up the barrel to know you're going to have an accurate shot. Okay. I don't know the science behind it, but a cold barrel is going to be off. Okay. And so you typically, if you're going to have to do some sniping, you take a few shots and warm the barrel up. I didn't mention that, but somebody else did. But that's a known thing, by the way. The other thing, I didn't think of this, but it's so obvious. If he took the rifle apart, he messed up the scope and he messed up everything. Like when you want to take a careful shot, you practice and you adjust things and adjust and adjust and adjust and adjust. And then you go to where you have to take the shot and then you take that shot and everything's lined up, right? But if you take the scope off and then put it back on, you've messed everything up completely. So that's another technical reason why this whole story is complete rubbish. And then the other thing that I mentioned that's finally being discussed several days later, you cannot hide a rifle in your clothes. Whoever, I mean, good Lord, I mean, how could anyone believe that for 5 seconds? And maybe if you, like I said on the show with Savvy, maybe if you were, wearing like big parka and like snow paint, you still can't hide it. You can barely hide a pistol if, to a knowledgeable person will see that you're carrying one, and then the point that I made is sometimes you see the guy walking perfectly normally, and then you see somebody with a limp, and the limp proves that he had the bear. I mean, it was all nonsense. So anyway, if you're a Brass Check subscriber, you got this information even before the Sabby Sab show, and Sabby was, thanks to putting me on, was the first out with it. Oh, the other thing I want to mention, I also talked about the background of Turning Point USA. And I don't know, I got to be honest, I didn't know Charlie Kirk from Hole in the Wall. I mean, I'd heard his name, but I didn't know what the deal was. It didn't take me long to get some really pertinent information about the organization. And yet, I'm not going to mention the name, but there's a journalist who never talks to me, never returns my emails, who did 2 articles on the deep understanding of the background of Charlie Kirk. And he happened to fail to mention some of the basic stuff that I talked about on the Sappy Sab show, again, nearly a week ago. And some of this still hasn't been discussed. He's finally talking about the $80 million number. But nobody's talking about the fact that Turning Point USA has 600 plus employees. I mean, wrap your mind around that. what are all those people doing? Now, could be a scam. Maybe they have 200 employees and they're telling the donors they have 600. I don't know. And yes, it would not be unheard of for a nonprofit to scam its donors. In fact, I don't know. I mean, I know a few that don't, but most of them do, including the Red Cross. Remember the Red Cross? We did a whole show on that years and years and years ago. Um, but in any event, I guess I'm blowing my own horn, patting myself on the back because no one else is going to do it if I don't do it. And I'm happy. I'm happy that now we have, professional identified snipers, military grade, military training. One of them seems to have been actually in battle doing this, explaining the realities of this. So if you have any doubts at all at this point, you shouldn't, because you don't have to believe me anymore. You can now talk to Marine trained snipers and find out that, in fact, everything I said nearly a week ago on the Sabby Sab show and told you a week ago was absolutely true. And I'm going to go back to the motive, means, and opportunity. That is a very simple formula, right? Did Israel have a motive? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Israel had a big motive. And there was contention between Israel and this guy, Israel's surrogates and this guy. 100%. So there's a motive there. Um, is Israel known to kill people? Yeah, it's doing it right now as we speak. Do they have a lot of snipers? I don't want to go into the grim details of what they've done to the children of Gaza, but yeah, they have a lot of snipers. So they absolutely had the motive. Now the means would be having snipers, military grade snipers who are willing to kill an American citizen on American soil. It's hard to find Americans that are willing to do that. Um, but it wouldn't be hard. It would not be hard to find Israelis that would be willing to do that because they think they're saving the fatherland or the motherland or whatever version of Nazi mentality they have. Um, so yeah, do they have the motive? Sure. Do they have the means? Absolutely. The other means they have is they've got the CIA and the FBI in their pocket. And how do we know that? Well, just look at how the FBI is behaving right now. Look at how the FBI behaved around Epstein. Look at how the CIA behaved around Epstein. That was a national security risk with foreign players, and CIA is not interested at all. They're just going to, let it go, let it walk in the park. Apparently, they were in contact with him, and they thought what he was doing was perfectly fine. Um, so we've got motive, we've got means, and we have opportunity. Well, what does opportunity mean? Well, opportunity means, can you get the snipers in and out of the U.S.? Piece of cake. In fact, they may have already been living here. They may be they may be dual citizens. So you may not have even had to fly them in. Okay, so that's opportunity. How good was the security around Charlie Kirk? Uh, Pathetic. And we showed the picture on one of our videos, right? The guy's looking straight out into the audience, and there's nobody looking this way or this way, depending on your perspective. I mean, that's beyond fundamental mistake. What's the point looking this way if nobody's looking that way? And he's exposed on those sides. So, opportunity, opportunity. Did they know for weeks? I believe the tour was announced in August, but I'm sure they have insiders inside of the Kirk organization, and they knew that tour before they knew that location before it was announced, right? So they had, weeks to scope it out and figure out what they were going to do. Means, motive, means, opportunity. And I've already talked about the means. Keyhole shot would explains everything that happened. Um, what else is there? Well, and now there will be a takeover of Kirk's organization, and it will be, Uber alles Israel 365. Um, we'll probably see Chucky Shapiro, what's his name? Ben Shapiro, Benji Shapiro, appearing more and more and more on the Charlie Kirk podcast. I mean, they're You know, it's so obvious what they're doing. And then where did our congressmen go after this assassination? Two apparently, I mean, I saw the picture, 250 of them all went to a special event called 50 States of Israel. And where was Donald Trump during the memorial for the guy that really helped put him in the White House? I mean, there's probably not that many people, a handful of people who you could say put Trump in the White House this time. Well, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is one of them. Where was Trump? He was out playing golf. Where's Benjamin Netanyahu? He's doing a podcast tour telling everybody that Israel didn't do it. So does that mean I'm saying Israel didn't do it? No, but they're a suspect. And as I said on the Sabi Sab show, and this is sort of this is really kind of the final word on this. Um, they're not going to investigate Israel. All right. So the prime, would I call Israel a prime suspect? I think given the the motive, the means, and the opportunity, I would say they're a prime suspect. Um, and given all the lead up, before Kirk got shot, yeah, but what's the FBI doing? Right? They're not going to investigate it. They're not going to look into that, which is predictable because they didn't look into 9/11 either. Predictable. Um, so that's that. So I don't think I need to say any more about this. It's pretty horrifying. But then again, they killed John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, and whoever did that got away scot-free. And here it is, 60 years, give or take, I guess when's the anniversary for Robert Kennedy that's coming up? But they got away with that. And they got away with 9/11. And they're going to get away with this. The only difference is I wasn't around. I wasn't old enough to know what was going on during the Kennedy assassination. I was very around during 9/11 and early on that too. Just reality, same day I said it had to be a government. I didn't know which government, but I knew it had to be a government. No way something this sophisticated could be done by a few guys with some box cutters. But it took a long time for the public to come along. It took a long, 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 took years, many years. Um, some of you obviously knew this early on, right? But took many years to get to the point where we are today. Well, we are at the point where we are today with 9/11 um, in like a week and a few days. All right. Now, will it matter? Will it make a difference? I don't know. I don't know. But there will be millions, tens of millions of Americans who know this is a dirty deal. And the obvious conclusion is that somebody is being given a pass on this killing. They're going to try, they're doing these multiple layer things. So there's the boyfriend, girl, whatever this dude was that he was living with. They're trying to suggest that, well, he's really involved and he's being given a pass, and he's being given a pass because he's hanging his friend. And this guy's a psycho, by the way, according to his own family. The non-assassin's roommate is a lying sack of shit and demented. And that's his family's opinion, right? And this father of the non-shooter, apparently Bill Ackman's going to give him $1 million. Um, that's pretty motivational because, there are parents out there that are total scumbags. They exist. And this guy is shaping up to be one of them, the so-called father. Um, they exist. You might have had a nice, sweet family. Not everybody does. And there are horrible, horrible human beings that ended up being parents. Ask me how I know. Um, all right, so that's that. Yes, I am blowing my own horn. Yes, I am patting myself on the back, but no one else is going to do it. And if you do support Brass Check, you got the news first. It took a week for these snipers to appear. Hey, a week's fast enough. But everything that I was saying to you right after and everything that I said on the Sabby Sab show has proven to be 1000% correct. All right, brass check. See you later.
Devastating new investigation by Dutch newspaper De Volkskrant. 15 international doctors report that at least 114 Palestinian children with single gunshot wounds to the head and chest. Injuries, forensic experts say, are consistent with aimed fire. So they did a detailed, deep dive investigation, and they found 15 doctors are now risking everything to come forward and say, we have 114 specific examples of Palestinian kids being shot in the head.